still Good morning, good evening, wherever you're at, and welcome to our new day, Tuesday. And it's tax day, so I'm thinking that's why everybody is not here.
Buddy, it's just you, me, and PB, as it should be, right? The loyal.
Well, but it's tax day. I think everybody's freaking out at their accountants, going, "Oh God!"
Oh,
I like that. Tuesdays are just Mondays dressed in their Sunday best. Very true.
yeah. I was trying to think which is worse, a Monday or a Tuesday. I mean, I guess probably always Monday, but Tuesday you still got a bulk of the week left.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? I want to give PB a shout out now that there's nobody but him here to hear it. I don't want to get his head too big. No, people watch this show after on the record. But PB is the only person who has emailed in suggestions for our show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and so thank you. But I don't want him to be like, hey,
and he supports your channel. He supports Drinks or Dave's Barbershop. Yeah, that the one I do with shaving, and the other one, the Rocks and Roads, that's just getting started.
Oh,
so
yeah? PB's got a lot of time on his hands.
Hey,
but
we're up to 3.
But I didn't want him to be like, hey, I keep emailing and they don't do anything, because it was tough. In fact, you and I talked about the last one, which if we had a more sophisticated channel, would be kind of cool, and a bigger audience, right? It was like having a Antiques Roadshow kind of thing where people bring in their interesting finds and stuff like that to talk about, which is a good idea.
That is a great idea.
People.
That's true. But see, now that your dad's here, we can get the show started.
Yeah. All right.
Hello, Stephen. Welcome.
We got Bruce.
And Bruce.
It's exponential growth.
That's right. Well, and I think some people take naps in the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, and we should go back to Monday and check. Maybe there's some folks waiting there for us.
That's true.
Yeah.
What's that old adage? Tomorrow is just your future yesterday.
Tomorrow, just your future. Is it?
Yeah, tomorrow is just your future.
Tomorrow is your future.
Yesterday.
Wait, no. Yesterday was.
Don't you remember the song? Tomorrow's just your future. Yes. You never watched? No. What's his name? Craig Ferguson.
No.
Oh, that's right. You're in bed by 8:30.
9. 9. Yeah, but.
He came up with that song.
You go to bed. You get up super early like I do, right?
Oh, I know. I'm up at 4:30. I'm usually in bed by 10 at the latest.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes me stupid. I got no willpower when it comes to, they say that they've got the algorithms for whatever apps to suck people in. Boy, do those work good.
Oh, they do.
Because I'll be like, oh, just 5 minutes. Let me see what's going on here. And you're like, oh, that one was interesting. So the next one's probably, I'll be in bed at 9.
Yeah, but you also made a comment on the forum at 2:56 a.m. yesterday morning or this morning.
I was awake then.
Yeah, I
went back to sleep a little bit, but
okay. Anyway. You had to find out the food that we have to say that the last couple of days food-wise we have been very, very bad.
Good for you.
Well, you too. You have too. You had Wiener Schnitzel.
We did, but that was going to be one of the topics I was going to talk about.
Okay,
kind of in general, because I mentioned this on our Zoom call, but I did a little research because I mentioned I had my daughter for the weekend, taking her home, said we were going to take her out for lunch, and where we were going to go had people waiting outside. It's Sunday afternoon. I said, forget that, and she goes, well, Wiener Schnitzel's right there, and I was like, my initial response was, no. I was like, what the heck? We haven't been there for forever. So, we pull up and we walk to the side of the little hut with the drive-through and everything. And man, I tell you, the combinations that they can make. I said, this is like Taco Bell. It's just like the same ingredients in different shapes.
Right.
All over but I was like, I want to keep coming. I want to try that. And I want to try that. And I want to try that. But what was interesting is when we were eating outside, we were right by the ordering thing, and it was a computer voice. It sounded really good. But so we were sitting there, we're like, could this be because maybe some people that work the drive-through have thick accents, that they're talking and it's translating it into the computer and spitting it out? Or could they be hitting buttons? Or is it AI taking our order? I looked it up.
It's AI, isn't it?
It's AI. And it's Yummy Industries, which is it Wendy's? Is the parent company something like that? But Pizza Hut, Wendy's, they didn't even list Wiener Schnitzel as one of them. But AI is now doing fast.
Well, but think about it. Think about it. So you pull up, you pull up to your drive-through, and you hear, "Hey, good looking. How would you like to try our number 4 today?" I mean, so you get that SAG-AFTRA voice from the Screen Actors Guild, but
wouldn't that be cool if they had gotten?
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Jones.
Oh yeah, or hello.
Hello. Pick your language.
Yeah.
Pick your. Oh my gosh!
Hello,
that's
Mr.
the next
Moneypenny.
step. Is
that's right.
State what language you would like to order in.
Or state what movie star you would like to have take your order. Mrs. Moneypenny, would you like a gin and tonic shaken, not stirred? I mean, you can have all kinds of fun with that. But speaking of that AI, okay, go ahead.
I was going, don't get off of this, because you use the voice to text thing on your phone, which oftentimes is a sense of enjoyment to those of us on the receiving end, because it's a little bit spotty at times, right?
A little.
But they're doing this outside with whoever's rolling up with the wind noise and the traffic noise and all this stuff, and getting the orders right. It's amazing. Like the highest tech is at Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, and they can't even get a building that's from the modern age. No, but speaking of the AI, I don't know if I don't know. I clicked on it once, and of course, once you click on it on Facebook, it's gonna throw that algorithm at you all the time. And it's this AI that if you have an old picture from like the 1940s, the 1950s, it's called Pixel, I think, Pixel AI, and you scan the photo in, click a button, and it brings that photograph to life.
Wait, for free?
Well, I'm sure there's an app charge to it, but it's kind of spooky because you think about it. You've got these old photos of your grandparents, your great-grandparents when they're in the war, when they're not in the war, and they're scratchy. And all of a sudden you can see that picture colorized and they act. It's not just a photograph. I mean, they look at you and smile and nod. It's kind of freaky. It's kind of, I haven't tried it yet, but I've been tempted.
So wait, we jump-started this thing. What are you smoking tonight?
I am smoking a Perdomo Lot 23.
Lot 23, just this
is the
because they've got Maduro. I want.
Yeah, no, this is just the standard one.
Connecticut,
and a nice cup of coffee tonight.
That's cute. We've got unlike him, P beats a Michelob Light tonight. He's taking it easy.
Well, it's probably because it's getting warmer where they're at, and he wants a light, refreshing, crisp beer, and then he's following it up with an oyster poor boy.
Very fancy. Do you dip that in the Michelob? You think would that be? I hope that coffee doesn't come out your nose.
Oh,
wow.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, and then Bruce follows that with Easter dinner.
Well, but this begs the question. So they made Easter dinner tonight. So what's happening?
Not really Easter dinner.
Yeah, what's happening to what's
Tuesday
happening on
dinner.
Easter?
Bruce's Tuesday dinner.
Yeah,
you had ham for
Easter
Tuesday,
is Sunday.
Fine.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So whatever.
But it begs the question: what is happening on Sunday that Bruce can't have Easter dinner?
Oh,
so hopefully he'll.
He's going to family, right? Well, yes. Here's we have no topics tonight. We're rolling free.
Mm-mm.
So Bruce, throw that in the chat. Is because my guess was going to be they're going to family where they'll be. But if they're going to,
but
family,
wouldn't they still having an Easter dinner?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's nice.
So he had we didn't have all the information. So his wife made an Easter dinner. We're thinking it's him and his lovely bride, but no, he probably had the whole family over for Easter dinner.
Well, they've got some adult Rugrats in the house still, I believe.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. But on the flip side, this AI thing, we did a show where it wasn't advice. but I brought up posts about, a situation that people were asking, what would you do, or did I do the right thing? And somebody in the chat said that sounds like a made up story, that one.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit those from time to time now, where there'll be a whole story about something that happened and people will say, oh, this is an AI story, come on, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's triggering them to say that, but that AI is ticking me off. Then if I think I'm interacting with a person and it's just somebody wanting to get attention or clicks or something like that,
Well, but think about it. It's just the evolution, because if you remember, those of us of a certain age, that there was a couple of magazines that we read just for the articles, and those magazines, like the Penthouse Forum, there would always be a story that would be so outlandish about some guy who did this with 1,800 people and stuff like that. Well, think about that. That is just the evolution of AI. Now the same stories are happening, but now ChatGPT can make it sound better.
Mm-hmm. So it was I think we might have talked about this once, technology replacing jobs. So I was mentioning at work that, this about the AI taking order and stuff like that. And somebody said, oh, there's, one other, job that's gone. But
I need to, your lovely wife always rolls her eyes at me when I make those comments. You do realize, Pantea, that the gentleman that's sitting near you doesn't have a collar, white collar.
This is what I read, Mad Magazine. Did you read that?
Yeah, I loved Mad Magazine. Yeah, Alfred E. Newman. Yeah, I loved Mad Magazine.
Yeah. But I was saying that, like, that's just technology, right? We used to pay people to deliver ice. We don't pay, that's not a job anymore.
Dude, how old are you?
Well, I didn't ever.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, because now, right? If I need ice, I'm going to go on Amazon or whatever.
Aren't I like 12, 13 years older than you are? So yeah, we never had ice. I mean, yeah, we had to have George from the Shamrock Dairy bring that big block of ice so we could stick it in the ice box.
But okay, well, and then around here we had toll collectors on the bridges. Those are
they don't have them anymore.
Oh no, everything's were either registering and they just bill a credit card, or they get your license plate and mail you a bill. So like if you're visiting and you're going through, then you'll get this.
Really? You don't stop and actually pay the toll booth person?
Straight through.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's like, you can't just.
But see, what has all this AI led us to? The self-checkout. I hate self-checkout. I mean, I think we talked about this. And if I am going to do all my own shopping and I am going to go to the self-checkout, there should be an incentive for me to bag my own groceries and to check it out myself. Give me a 5% discount. I think that's fair.
The incentive is you don't have to wait.
I don't know. Here, though, there's more waiting in the self-checkouts than there is in the regular checkouts.
I like to bag my own groceries, even if you're going through the normal line, because then I bag them the way I want them, which is chock full all the way to the top. So you only have 2 bags instead of 6.
Well, that's if you still use paper bags, though.
Well, if I remember the reusable, anyway, it is. What do you use?
We use the plastic.
Oh, the cheap ones that you could only fit like 4 things in, so you have like 20.
I mean, I do, but because the problem is we have a bunch of the bags you take in yourself, but every time I go down there, I say, you know what, I need to get one of those bags. So now we have a stack of grocery bags that we never take with us.
Oh, I bring them, but they stay in the trunk. Because I'll be halfway to the door and go, oh, the bag. Forget the bag.
Exactly. But see, now here they're charging $1 for bags.
I think we're at 10, 15 cents.
Yeah, something.
You know this up the Academy?
No, I do not know this. So PB, please take your Michelob tasting saliva glands and tell us what Up the Academy is.
Put egg. Nah, no, buddy, not eggs at the. But I'm not afraid to fill the bottom with canned goods and apple juice and soda. That bag will weigh 40 pounds, and that's fine. But I think the baggers would get in trouble if they did that.
Well, and see, in eggs nowadays, you have to have kind of like armed guards to take them out to your car.
Yeah.
Because they said that there's no more egg shortage, but yet eggs are still between $6 and $8 a dozen now. Still.
Well, that's the law of economics.
Yeah, it's like gas. Yeah, it's like gas prices. We'll never see dollar gas again, ever.
Yeah. You know what's incredible? So I just talk about because this is what I know. So we got a newer Tesla for my wife, and I took that to take my daughter, which is like a 40-minute drive or something like that. And so you put it in the maps and stuff, and where it shows the power, it showed the expected drain on the battery, your actual drain on the battery, and then it had breakdowns of this is how much is being used to drive the car, this is how much is being used for your air conditioning, this is what's used for other stuff.
Yours doesn't have that?
No, mine doesn't have that. And then it gave recommendations. So it says if you stay under 70, you will save another 0.3% for the rest of this drive. On the way back, it also said that a 2.4 mile an hour wind coming from the way I was going cost me 0.3% on the drive. I was like, that's amazing.
Well, it is. Or what would be more fun is if you're going to take your daughter down the hill and it says, if you do this, 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 and this, you'll do this, 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 and this. On the way back, it comes back and gets snarky. Said, well, Dave, if you would have done this, this, and this 2 mile an hour thing wouldn't be affecting your final battery percentage.
Yeah.
Having a snarky Tesla would be fun.
So I did. I was curious if it was on my card, and no, it's not. But I was messing with the app, and the other thing that I found now is you can see all the charging that you do, and it tells you if it's at a supercharger, if it's at home, or if it's at your work, and then how much that's charging has cost you, and it base it on the average electricity cost of where you live. And then what gas would have cost you based on the average gas cost. So you can see, I was just like,
how's the percentage? Is it pretty good?
It's about half.
Good? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And the thing is, speaking of Teslas, okay, I have to go here just for a second. These jackholes that are keying and demolishing and doing whatever don't they realize there's cameras? And all these people are getting caught because the camera on the car is catching the people as they key. I just don't get it. So PB answers our question, and I don't remember this, but Mad Magazine upped the Academy in 1980 with Barbara Bach, Ralph Macchio, and director Robert Downey Sr. I do not remember that.
I didn't even know there's a Robert Downey Sr. I guess that.
Well, that hence the name Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Yes.
But
speaking of movies, since we're all over the place, the new Karate Kid Legends trailer came out.
That's a movie?
It's a movie, and it's got Jackie Chan plays Miyagi. I guess he's a relative of Miyagi. Ralph Macchio plays Sensei Miyagi now, and there's a new kid. It actually looks really good. It actually looks really good.
And so, you know me, I am anti-remake, anti-sequel, all that stuff. So you have to see it first, because it's like when you get into something, like I was super worried about Top Gun, but they had you at the first note, right? As soon as you heard the music, you're like, oh.
Well, Cobra Kai, although I haven't watched Cobra Kai completely, it's supposedly fantastic. Yeah. It's supposed to be really good.
We've heard the same thing.
Yep, Arnold from Happy Days
is in the.
No, Pat Morita. Remember Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi? It was Arnold in Happy Days. After Mel died, then it became Arnold's.
Wow. Man, there's a show. I'm sure there's some crazy channel that's on there. Because I've mentioned I used to see MASH reruns all the time. I don't see them listed anymore.
Me TV.
And Happy Days. What about Happy Days?
Me TV.
Right, but you have to go find that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's an app or whatever. But
no, it's on your cable bill.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to
see, and that's what I was afraid of. Steven, I have not watched it completely. Steven says that people love Cobra Kai. Lyndon, I found it to be formulaic. That's what I figured, because it looked to me, and I only saw a couple of episodes or a couple of trailers, and it looks like Ralph Macchio's character kind of becomes the bad guy for a little while, and then the old bad guy becomes the good guy for a while, and
yeah. Pinky Tusk. So this. I'd be curious because, I've made this comment before about these shows back in the 70s, 80s, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world were these entertaining? Because now MASH is the exception, but they were super formulaic and just dumb comedy stuff. What would that be fun to watch anymore?
Probably well, I think
not.
Well, I think that's hard for the newer generation. Maybe for us, it would be we'd love it because it was retro. I mean, I used to love Happy Days, and it's so funny because you see Henry Winkler as the Fonz, and now you see him in real life, and he's just this sweet little Jewish boy, And but no, I think that the climate of the world was different then. For lack of a better term, it was more fun-loving and family-oriented as it is today. I mean, try finding a series out there that doesn't have some type of gratuitous violence in it anymore. Good luck. As Bruce says, the 3 Bs: booze, bombs, and butts. So would it make it today? I think MASH would. I think MASH absolutely would, because if you look, and even though I haven't seen it, but if you look at Chicago Hope, you look at The West Wing, you look at Pitt, all of those series, which are from, and I haven't seen Pitt yet, but I guess it's just fantastic. Yeah. If you look at the way MASH was written, even though it was a comedy, a lot of the similarities in the writing are there.
Well, that's it. That's the writing.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Days didn't have like amazing.
No, but it was about 50s. It was about a diner. It was about guys and I mean, yeah, nobody would watch Ralph Malph now or Potsy. They wouldn't do it. But look at what they did to the Archies. They made it that I haven't seen it, but they made it a very dark series. That was, I guess,
I haven't seen it. That was super popular.
Yeah.
What, about 10 years
ago? That's like Little House on the Prairie now. Now, see, I personally thought Little House on the Prairie was a snooze fest from the very beginning, but you don't see Westerns anymore. You don't see like Gunsmoke. Could Gunsmoke make it nowadays? I don't know.
Well, what about 1923? Would you consider that a point? Western?
Yeah. Okay. All right. You got me there. Oh, The Rockford Files. What a great show that was. Yeah. Speaking of Westerns, I don't know if you've read the latest about poor Gene Hackman. They're starting to release more information on that. It just, it's so sad. And they did find the rodents that gave her the hantavirus near the house.
In the house?
It wasn't in the house. It was in a shed that was close by. And I don't think we'll know. I don't think we'll know exactly. I know they say that they thought she died a few days before he did. And the problem is, with his dementia as advanced as it was, he sadly just wandered around the house.
No,
that's sad.
Yeah.
So part of what we were going to talk about tonight is how come we, as collectively, have become a marketer's dream. And what I mean by that is there will be claims on a product, whatever that product may be, and we buy into it without seeing the empirical data that shows that. Now, although I don't have the data here, this is for a later show when we start talking about hydrogenated water, because you said something that put yourself in a bullseye on Sharon.
So, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we do, and I am the first one to admit I am a marketer's dream. 100%. The new widget comes out and I'm like, oh, I gotta have that. I need that, especially when it comes to watches.
Yeah. Well, my first answer was going to be because people want the quick fix, the easy answer, right, of whatever it is. But that's not the reason. Because some of this stuff, it's fear. I think they sell fear. right?
Well,
And that's also
that would be the
been
media. Yeah, of course.
into politics and all this stuff. But like, say, like the cola cleanse or whatever, they do. And they're like, you don't want all this stuff building up in your system. And so you need this. And you think, oh my God, you're right. I don't want all that stuff building up in your system. But it's linking that to common sense and people just stopping there. No, I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm going to buy this. It's like, but what if that was happening? If that stuff was building up, what do you think would happen to you? You wouldn't be okay if it just kept building up, right?
True.
But so obviously that doesn't. So what makes you think you have the problem that they say that?
Well, I mean people. There's a term for that when people say they see something on TV and say, "Oh, wait a minute, I think I have that."
Hypochondria.
They're just oh God, I have that. Oh God, I have that. And the problem is now, in the old days, or not too long ago, if you had a physical problem, and really this all comes down to the internet. It really does. You had a physical problem, what would you do? You go see your doctor. Okay. But nowadays, I don't believe my doctor. I think WebMD or MDinternet.com is going to tell you exactly what it is. So I've got back pain. Oh, it could be a spinal tumor. It could be a lesion. It could be your kidneys going bad. You need to go see a doctor. And all of a sudden you freak out. And basically what it turned out to be is you just needed to fart.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
But one thing I keep reminding myself of and others is the whole placebo effect, right? Because for a long time, and so it's interesting that some of this stuff comes and goes. Like if it worked, it wouldn't go away.
Right.
So like people were buying copper bracelets to help arthritis, right? There's no medical reason that they would help arthritis. But if you slip one on,
you get
and you feel better,
right? It's all
then good on. Go ahead and do it, right? Because that's a thing.
This is perfect. I want this. Not this one. No, this is the one I want. Oh yeah, fear. Now they will soon have you doing a full body deodorant drip because you stink, human.
No, that's Axe body spray, isn't it?
Oh God.
You need the whole spray, the whole. But where was I going with that? But then you get word of mouth, right? It's like somebody said, "Oh, I did this. It helped me out."
Mm-hmm.
So then you're like, "Well, I know this one guy," and so, but I don't know. So I mentioned to you that I almost finished this book about kind of the half-life of facts or things like that, and we've talked about that before. That what we know now is what we know now, and tomorrow we might know something different that disproves you. What did you mention? Fasting, intermittent fasting is being questioned, right? So this is interesting. In this book, they mentioned that there was an error in a calculation of how much iron is in spinach that basically made it so that you're like, if you ate a serving of spinach, it's like having a quarter of a penny worth of iron or whatever it was. Right. And that's why they had Popeye eating spinach, and it was all based on a calculation error, and that lived for however long people thought that spinach
I could never get my forearms that big. I tried. Well, but the placebo effect is a good example. So, and what's happening now is because everybody has become somewhat of an expert, should I say internet expert. Perfect thing happened on Nextdoor. These people were saying, what was this line of lights that was going over the dark last night? And 50 people knew what it was, Starlink, because he had just, because those satellites go in a row for a while before they start splitting off. And even though everybody that said Starlink was correct and showed data saying this is when the launch was, this is when they released, this is the azimuth that they're supposed to be at, you had a whole bunch of people saying, well, I remember back in the 40s, we used to see those lines go by and it wasn't no satellites.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is, I attempted to get.
I like that. Work for Popeyes. Oh, wait, that's fried chicken. That's a great placebo. Oh, speaking of that, I don't know if you've seen it. Tigley will have to tell me about it because if you watch this commercial, you will never eat Kentucky Fried Chicken again.
A commercial?
Apparently, yeah, it's a commercial that's really, really out there. but I don't know about it yet. So,
well, it's best that you probably don't know. Yeah, that's I go with that. That like if I don't know about it, it hasn't hurt me yet. So then,
well,
I don't wanna know.
remember the rat in Kentucky Fried Chicken, that big thing that went around a few years ago.
Yeah,
Somebody found a fried rat, and here's my thing: did it taste good? Then shut up.
Well, the oil killed whatever.
Well, the thing is, I mean, come on. I mean, have you ever been to a dairy farm or a cow where there's cattle?
No,
You never, or more importantly, if you go to a place where they render tallow, you would never ever eat beef again.
Yeah, but better not. Just better not to. Better not to. But so I'm going to email this author to see if we can get him on. I'm sure it's a long shot, but he has a whole book about explaining kind of what we talked about that whatever we have now is going to be gone sooner or later, and how much faster that happens now because how much more research is being done year after year after year, new discoveries and all this kind of stuff. And it's like people forget that whatever we knew now, at one point there wasn't aspirin, right? And then there was. And so now we say, well, intermittent fasting works. Well, that could be because there have been 40 studies that showed that it did. So what we knew at that time, that worked. But then somebody else does a few studies that shows, but then there was this other thing that they didn't take into account.
Well,
they do more studies.
That's exactly that was exactly my point. I follow a guy by the name of Dr. Eric Berg, and being diabetic and having done keto and stuff like that. And he said, that's it. I'm going to have to change all 3,000 of my videos because this study came out that says now intermittent fasting causes cancer. Well, if you dig deeper, and that was the highlight. But if you dig deeper, you find out that it was a 12-hour observational study where this person fasted based on the food they ate. 12 hours. And that was the new data, and it's like, really, come on.
Yeah.
I'm of the type, like, do I know cigars are bad for me? Yeah, they're bad, but they're not as bad as cigarettes.
Right. And so it depends on what data you look at, because there are studies that show people that smoke, and I think the cutoff point is like 4 a day, which I think a lot of cigar smokers do not smoke nearly that much, that it actually lowers your blood pressure, it relaxes you, and so you have less cardiac issues than people that don't smoke any cigars. Now, could that have been a smaller study that, who knows how valid it is?
Sure.
But, the whole smoke is, but no, that's not
true
either.
I mean, I think we've talked about you go into some of the French Highlands, and these people are eating true thick cheese and wine, and they live to be 170 years old, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know so look at us looping back around.
This is perfect. This says everything.
I would love.
I don't eat carbs, but I do have candles that smell like buttered mashed potatoes.
Would you like that? That would make me hungry, and then it would be weird to have your house smelling like butter all the time.
Yeah,
it'd be delicious. I'd pick it up and smell that thing. But here's the use for AI is typing in a fact like, do copper bracelets help arthritis? And I'm curious. I've never done this. I just thought of it. Would it search instantly all the research and stuff? I guess it depends what sources it has access to. Probably not medical journals and stuff. But we could, if it works that way, getting a little bit closer. We're now in the time frame where anybody can post anything on the internet without any truth to it and people believe it.
Right.
But maybe AI can start being integrated into social media stuff and all that. And if you choose to click the button to use it, you would get little pop-ups about this has been disproven by 14 studies, or this is supported by. That would be great. Are you shopping for cigars right now?
No. I basically typed in to AI the benefits of copper bracelets. And there have been studies by the Cleveland Clinic, Medical News Today. Here, there is no strong evidence that they work. That's not to say they don't, but there's no strong evidence to say they do. So,
Right.
but like you said earlier, if somebody puts on a copper bracelet and they don't have aches and pains, even if it is a placebo effect, who cares? If they're
Right.
getting relief, more power to them.
It's like they've got those bands for motion sickness that people will wear on cruise ships. I tried them one, they hurt like a son of them, so I didn't wear them very long.
Well, you know why? Because it hurt so badly that it took your mind off of the fact that you're going to get sick.
But
Now,
it's like, say, right, if you think it's going to help you, it might.
But here is a constant, and everybody seems to agree. If you eat asparagus, your urine tells the tale. And actually, that is the one constant. It is true.
That is true. Well, and proven by Bruce.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are we getting? Are we missing stuff? There's a lot of chat going, which is awesome. I'm glad we're up to 10 barflies, and they're entertaining themselves, which is probably the best for them to.
We are oblivious. Yeah. Wow. You know, the one thing I like about P-Beat is I wonder if at some point he was a drill instructor, because he builds us up, tears us down, builds us up, tears us down. That is an MO of a drill instructor.
Is it?
So I think that may be his calling.
So, but what was interesting, this is nerdy stuff, probably not interesting to anybody but me, but this guy that wrote this book,
kind of like our show.
That's right. Said that you can kind of predict things that will happen in the future based on how fast advancements are being made in that area. So he used space travel as one. And then because he was saying, who could have predicted that we would have a man on the moon by this year? And he said, you could have. That based on rocket technology and how quickly it was advancing, they showed the graph, and that when Sputnik went up was when you could have predicted we would reach escape velocity. Mm-hmm. And then it showed that 2 years later, you would be able to make it to the moon. And then that's when that happened. And right. And so that was super interesting, is you can kind of look right now and see where things are headed and predict accurately where we're going to be.
Because you know that this is a space and that type of stuff is a love of mine. And you know, you've got the explorers that are saying, yes, one day we will travel to the stars. Okay. But right now, based on Einstein's physics, and everybody thinks that those are absolutely 100% correct, there's no way we will get to certain places because unless we have generational ships. But if our physics is wrong, then that changes the whole game. You know, I'm reading a book right now. I'm reading a book right now called Imminent. And it's about a gentleman that used to, Lou Elizondo, that used to work for ATIP. In fact, he ran the ATIP program. And he says some very, you know, either he's a lush for the CIA doing disinformation, or he's got some very, very valid points. For instance, like, you know, talking about the Tic Tac video, you know, and that vehicle can travel underwater, above water, into space because of the shape it is. The problem is, physics wise, it would be doing like 1,000 Gs, which would turn us into goo. But is it dimensional? Is the physics that we think is the constant, meaning the speed of light, is that all wrong? And if it's wrong, then that changes the whole game, you know?
Right. And from what I understand, a lot of Einstein's work is the basis of some of the, what the heck do they call it? Quantum mechanics.
Quantum mechanics
is outside of what he thought would be able. But he, you know, the tools that we have now to research that stuff are far beyond what he had. So it makes sense. It's like he wasn't wrong. He knew as much as he could for that time and all that.
Well, if you remember, Stephen Hawking got trashed by all the Einstein lovers because he said, what if Einstein was wrong? You know, and PB brings up is the Pentagon's Hunt for the UFO, that book. No, he becomes a kind of a whistleblower, but we're not sure if he's an actual whistleblower, if he's just a front for the CIA.
Yeah.
See, that the flat earth thing, I don't understand. There's been so many. You go up into space. In fact, just recently, Gail King, Katy Perry, they went up to a suborbital flight, and you could see the curvature of the Earth. I think that makes the Flat Earth Society. Well, yeah, and
it would be great to have a psychologist on to explain what people get out of being part of conspiracy, because they tend to, right? Again, I'm generalizing just off of absolutely no knowledge, but it seems like if you're into conspiracy theories, you're into them. Not just one, not just I think the Earth is flat, but you think the Earth is flat. Vaccines don't work. Contrails or chemical. Like you're into more than one.
Right.
And what puts you into that mindset of like, I know more than what they're telling me?
Well, I think what it is, for some people, I think it's the fact that the government has been caught contradicting itself. And so for that reason, people have a tendency to have a mistrust for that. But to me, I make it very simple. The reason why the Earth is not flat, very simple, because if it was, cats would have knocked all the shit on the Earth off of it by now. Yeah, exactly. They would have pushed it off.
Well, yes, but that's a pretty big leap to say, okay, the government said this and it wasn't true. They were covering up. So everything that they say, plus there's more than one government on this globe.
Right.
So you're saying every government in every country there's a big conspiracy to prove that the Earth is round?
Well, true. I think most of it probably spawns from the whole UFO file thing, because most of your other countries besides the US, they're like, here, Brazil, there's a perfect example. Look at what we've got, and I've always believed that if we are the only sentient, intelligent being in the universe, number one, it's a big waste of space. Number two, that's pretty freaky.
Yeah, well, so maybe I'll need to pull some of this stuff, because we got into this with what's in the cigar guy a little bit.
Oh, Tim.
When Tim was here. Because if you think of the time frame that the universe has been around, the known universe, and how long humans have had the ability to technology, it's, that's such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
So not only would there have to be another intelligent life form, but they would have to be at our level or at this same little tiny speck of time. Mm-hmm. So there could have been a gajillion intelligent life forms out there, but they're not here right now, right this little second for us to see.
Oh, true.
That also makes, because you're right. You had a Carl Sagan, right? His whole thing was, all the millions, billions of stars and billions of planets. There's got to be, just by numbers, other planets like ours.
But
then you take that across time.
Right. But here's the thing. So Carl Sagan believes all this, which I think it's great. But what does he do? He sends all these other alien nations a menu. That's basically what he did. This is who we are. This is where we're at. This is our level of technology. So you got some alien nation that's been around for 1 billion years going, you feel like human tonight?
I think Bruce has a good point.
Yeah, but we still haven't gotten a vehicle that folds up into a briefcase yet.
Oh, well, not that fly.
No, we have bicycles that will.
Yeah, little motorbikes. And they're now just starting on the cusp of these independent flying helicopters to
the drone, kind of like full-size drones.
Yeah, we're getting there. And so that's another interesting aspect that we talked about this, that people living now, we think we're like at the height of our technology. We have everything we could possibly have. They probably believed that 50 years ago, like when the cars were first invented, 1923, right? Oh my gosh, you have running water in your house. They probably thought this is the pinnacle of society. It was then.
Well, they say that there's different levels of society. So you've got level 1 through 10, and we're at like 0.5 as far as evolutionary skills. And there's supposedly civilizations out there that are at a 10. Well, if you take time, that means they've been around for billions of years. Full-size drones like
I would not be the first person into a flying drone. That's for sure. I'd hop into the robo taxis when they come out. Just like what was that movie where they had the robo taxi?
Oh, the Johnny Cabs.
Johnny Cabs.
Yeah,
Right.
Johnny Cabs.
Yeah, let's see. PB coming in strong again.
Can we actually know the universe? My God, it's hard enough to find your way around Chinatown, Woody Allen. Well, you know that I like that. Linda says it all comes down to Ma'am knows best. Well, yeah, we know that. But now that, you know, that asteroid that had 3.2% chance of hitting us.
What are we at now?
Well, oh, no, it's not going to hit us now. But the big news story, because they got to sensationalize everything, is now it's got a 5% chance it's going to smack the moon. And if it doesn't smack the moon, it's going to hit Mars. So it's just hype. I mean, the bottom line is we've been hit by rocks.
Shit all the time out there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We've been hit by rocks before. We're just lucky they've been little rocks.
Yeah, and it'll happen again.
Yeah, we're going to get hit by a monster. It'll happen,
but again, it gets over how long the Earth has been around, and
right. Yeah, I don't worry about it. It should have been Mama knows best. Well, Ma'am knows best. Mama knows best. I mean, it fits. We understood what you meant. Yeah. But no, I just think everything is. I remember, and we've talked about this before, is that news used to be news. You had Walter Cronkite, Henry Brinkley, Roger Mudd, and those guys just read the news. This is the news of the day. And you made your decision what you took from it. But nowadays, it's infotainment. You know?
Most of it. The people that want to tell it non-slanted that don't have the viewers.
I haven't found anybody that doesn't slant.
Well, but again, you'll believe what you're gonna believe, but there's rankings of news stations as to which way they lean, and there's ones in the middle. And I believe the BBC is in the middle, right? And NPR.
And believe it or not, Al Jazeera America is down the middle, which is odd. Yeah, I mean, it's become propaganda. That's the problem. And the thing is, let's face it, these media groups that own the news stations, they care about one thing and one thing only, and that's Nielsen ratings. That's it. Because ratings get them advertisers. Advertisers give them money. And that's not the way it used to be.
See, I've tried to get into watching the BBC, and so that's, again, they suck me in at night. I can't stop the scrolling, and the news that is just the news and worldwide news gets a little bit dry. Maybe I'll try if Forbes. I didn't even. I didn't know finance.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, but I'm on to something.
I know that. I know that Forbes talks a lot about hydrogenated water.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to get killed for that statement, but
there you go. Love that. That's true. If you get into everybody has inherent bias, and you can't get away from some of it. Yeah.
But here's the difference, Stephen. In the old days, per se, two people could have diametrically opposed views, whether it be politically, morally, it didn't matter. But at the end of the day, in the end of the conversation, they didn't scream at each other. They didn't key somebody's car. They said, okay, I don't believe your philosophy, but I respect
they wouldn't say that's bullshit based on nothing, right? When they say scientists just discovered that this is good cure for this or treatment for this, or you should do that. You got all sorts of people going, well, that's bullshit. I don't believe the scientists.
Well, I mean, Christianity. Not to get into a religious discussion, but Christianity. The first people that said Christ is our savior. No, he's not. He's just a carpenter. He's just a dude. He's just a guy. You know, so I don't know. I just think that people need to just respect each other's opinion, and just that's what makes us who we are, you know. I mean, and all this hype and when it comes to and I've got to bring this up because this is a soapbox for me, and and I got to bring this up because whether you like the tariffs or not doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, is it going to cause some hurt? Yes, but for a company to come out and use the tariff as an excuse to say, if we don't raise our prices, and these tariffs are going to kill wet shaving forever.
Okay, well, you're off on
they went off the edge of the thing. I mean, no. That's no. Wet shaving is here to stay because it is.
And there's stuff made in the United States you could buy if you don't. I mean, what are we talking with wet shaving? Even a 25% tariff, your $15 soap goes up to $18. You can't.
Well, and you have somebody that went from, I think, went up from $25 to $34. But
Are you raising hombres barbershop?
Nope. In fact, it's funny you made that. I had a bunch of people come in because in my demographic, I've got left, right, middle, centrist, otherwise, and I've had people ask, "Are you raising your prices?" I said, "No, I'm not raising my prices." Because one thing that as a business owner you have to realize is there's certain absorption that you have to make. Because if I raise my prices and lose 20% of my business, what have I gained? Nothing.
Right. Well, but most of your business is labor, right? I mean, it's you.
I've got product. I've got product, but most of the product I buy is from the U.S. So,
And even if it wasn't, I mean, you buy in bulk. So how much soap or whatever you're using on a person? I mean,
right. And what I sell and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And I've got enough soap to last me to 2075. You better go, Dan. You better go out and start buying.
Bulk up.
Dude.
You know what? I don't know. The biggest concern is obviously cigars and scotch, because neither one of those is made in the United States, or not. Cigars not decently, right?
Well, I haven't been watching a lot of the cigar forums to find out, but obviously we know that there's going to be an increase in cigar prices. But again, to me, cigar is a luxury item, and if you want a luxury item, you're going to pay it. I mean, you're gonna pay the price, more than anything else.
But we better this is a road that we don't want to go down. So we should probably get back to the chili that they put on these hot dogs and burgers. And I'm just impressed because if you go and you have a Big Mac now, it doesn't taste like a Big Mac from 30 years ago.
No.
If you go to Wiener Schnitzel,
it tastes the same.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. When I was a kid in first grade, we went on a field trip to the local, and back then it was called Der Wiener Schnitzel. Yeah. And we went and they gave us mustard dogs for lunch, which basically the most boring hot dog known to man, but an orange soda. Their orange soda. Now, to this day, their chili cheese dog, their mustard dog, their kraut dog taste exactly like it did 50 years ago. And the orange soda is still the most incredible orange soda ever. So, but yeah, I mean, a Big Mac doesn't taste the same. And how come you can go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac, large fries, maybe some chicken nuggets, and it costs you somewhere south of $50? You can go to Chili's, and for $10.99, you can get unlimited chips and salsa, a drink, a huge burger, and fries.
Yeah. It was, you know what? The price was not the same at Wiener Schnitzel. It was not.
Prices have gone up,
for two, yeah.
And if you get the all beef hot dogs now instead of the turkey lips, and that's another thing. We grew up eating hot dogs that were turkey lips, pork entrails, and everything mixed together. But now all of a sudden, you better not eat that. You need to eat 100% pure beef.
You know what? That's another thing that they said that the AI could do is continuously upsell. And we heard that. I just now thought about that, because you would hear them say, would you like to upgrade to 100% beef hot dog? Every single time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. Here's Dan. I don't know. Dan, are you a bourbon guy anyway? Because I can't do bourbon. And so that's where the tariffs are going to hurt me personally, because, a $50 scotch has to be made in Scotland.
Yeah, but Scotland wasn't part of the tariffs.
Oh, was it not? I don't keep track anymore. Yeah. What is it? Lump. What? Oh, here. Lumps chili dogs out of Philly. And there's is it Lumps in Brockton? But what? It's not chili. I mean, it's like kind of minced meat in a sauce, right? But it's perfect for a hot dog.
It really is. I'm sorry, there is nothing like a chili cheese dog. It's so good, and it's so bad for you, but it's so good. That's like yesterday I posted on the forum that I was getting my car worked on, and there was a Jack in the Box right next door, and I had to have Jack in the Box tacos, which are tacos in name only.
You know what? Was it? We did go to Jack in the Box recently, but there's not many around here. and I got a combo meal that had one of those in it. No, half of it's just the shell, right? It's like a empanada almost,
Right,
with a
right.
little hunk of meat.
Well,
in the
because
middle.
the meat's in the middle, and they take the whole thing and they shove it in a deep fryer, and they deep fry it. Then they bring it out of the deep fryer and add a slice of American cheese, the lettuce, and the salsa.
This was just the meat in the middle, and that was it.
Oh, you're kidding?
No.
Oh, yeah. You gotta get one that has the lettuce. Well, lettuce type substance, I guess, would be the
I think I'm all right. That's a place I'm okay not going. Their shakes are good.
Their breakfast. Well, see, that it's the only fast food joint that you can get breakfast anytime,
all day long. Yeah,
No.
I love a breakfast. I would rather have breakfast sandwiches than burgers, but I get a little concerned about, are they really going to cook a fresh egg if they hadn't made a breakfast sandwich in like 3 hours? And breakfast.
But see, that's what Jack in the Box does, though. I mean, you want to have the perfect meal at Jack in the Box. This is the gourmet bougie meal at Jack in the Box. I'll tell you. Here's what you have. You have a breakfast Jack, which is a fried egg on a soft bun with Canadian bacon and cheese. That's it. No sauce, no anything. Then you also get a 3-piece order of egg rolls. Why? Because Jack in the Box egg rolls are amazing. And then you get 2 tacos and an order of curly fries. And that is the perfect combination. It's perfect. And then a visit to your cardiologist, but that's the side effect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just fun. Now, we need to implore everybody, and I know we do this every single show. Tuesdays are our normal nights now. Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. But please give us, tacos for breakfast, Pantea, are incredible. Well, but see, I have my breakfast, like yesterday, it was at noon. So, I mean,
they need breakfast tacos.
They have those. Taco Bell has those.
Yeah. I tried them when they first came out. They were not good. Yeah.
Wow. Dan makes his own hot dogs.
What?
He makes hot dogs from scratch, grinds the meat, stuffs the casing and everything. Nothing like a chilling cheese dog. I think that means chili cheese dog, where everything, including the bread, is made from scratch. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're all going to Dan's house.
Now, this seems a little weird to me. Now, given I would love to try one of his homemade hot dogs in a homemade bun, it probably would change my mind, but I'm thinking that's a lot of damn work for something that's a very mediocre meal, a hot dog. That's just right. They should be steamed at a ballpark or whatever, but that's a lot of work for a freaking.
Yeah, but see, ballpark hot dogs are different though. And there's an old movie line that Billy Crystal talks about that said, actually it's Roy Scheider that talks about it in the movie 2010, where he goes, you can't get a good hot dog anywhere except a ballpark because the hot dogs have been boiling since the opening day in May and you get them in October.
So this mentioned this before.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dave and Dave missed the boat. Dollar Shave Club. What if we just mailed you the damn blades? Unilever plays $1 billion for the company, and it's cheeky, Mark. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, and there's new razors that come out that act like wet shaving. That a replaceable blade razor is a new idea, right? You see this, like, stop using this. We stop using the multi cartridges. We just came out with this razor.
Yeah, and the Harry's razor looks just like a Gillette.
What
yeah, it looks. Yeah, I'm sorry. The best shave you're going to get is one of two things: either an open blade or a standard old-fashioned DE, except for the Vector, which we all know is the best single-edge razor out there. Right, Dave?
Sometimes I let you have your glory, Dave.
Well, because I'm sorry, I can't shave with Bullwinkle. I just can't do it.
So, yeah. Well, and so see that this is a weird. Well, I guess it's like a convenience, right? Because so we're saying that like none of the razors now give as good of a shave or increase your razor burn and ingrown hairs and all that kind of stuff. So why not use something that's better? But it's not as fast. I mean, people, they just don't care. They just want fast, easy do it in the shower. Let me get out
Well,
of here.
and let's face it, those of us that are into the wet shaving hobby or the traditional shaving hobby don't mind spending 15 to 20 minutes shaving. Some people would look at that and say, "What are you, nuts?" But it's because
And some people here will spend a weekend making their hot dogs. And we're like, what are you, nuts? You could just go get them at the store. But,
That's true.
different strokes for different folks.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
All right.
Well,
so there you
that's
had
like
the
those
point.
kebabs.
If they don't want to hear about this kind of crap again, email the bottom of your screen and say, you know what? Why don't you guys talk about this?
Yes. Now, if you are going to email us, remember, we do not do political stuff because you get enough of that on TV. We don't do controversial stuff because, again, you get that on TV. We have, think of us as the Jerry Seinfeld of talk shows.
That's right.
It's a show.
You want to talk about playground equipment? We can do that for an hour.
That's right.
Or hollow core door versus solid core doors inside for your bathroom. We can talk about.
Or we can even talk about that little thing that we all had when we were kids. That was a doorstop that was on a spring. And it just, I mean, we can talk about that. We can talk about Venetian blind pull cords, I mean. Yeah, but see, Jerry.
If you can think of a food we haven't covered yet, then bring it on.
Well, yeah, because we like doing the tastings. We do enjoy doing the tastings. The tastings are a lot of fun. But
yeah, I think in the back of our heads, the non-alcohol one that could be up next at some point is Doritos.
Yes, I think Doritos would work. I think Cheetos would be another one because there's a big variety of Cheetos now. I mean, you've got street corn Cheetos, the jalapeno Cheetos.
I was going to say the problem though is half or more than half of all the varieties of any of that crap is hot this, hot that, nitro, turbo nitro.
And the problem is where?
Well, we can try. I'm going to say, this one tastes like hot. Yep, this one.
Well, it's too bad that you had the anaphylactic issues because I think the bugs would have been interesting. But then again, part of me is saying, "Oh, thank God." See, Dave couldn't eat the chocolate covered crickets.
Yeah.
Barbecue and wet shaving, my two passions. Ooh, there's an invite. If you're ever coming through the middle of Mississippi, I will hook you up.
Thank you, Dan. But if I'm ever strolling through the middle of Mississippi, a lot of things have gone wrong in my life.
Why? Mississippi is nice.
Is it? I just think of
Hattiesburg.
Moist.
In fact, we considered moving to Hattiesburg.
Well, I don't
like humidity though.
I was going to say 115-degree heat where you are or bugs and humidity. I might have to go with the heat, even if I hate that.
Yeah, the heat.
I don't like being sticky.
I mean, we do have to, the thing is you get used to it, but when you go outside and you hear this, you're always wondering if there's a rattlesnake around, I mean, this is the time of year for that
barbecue. So see here, PB, how would we do that? That's what we need
we need sauces.
We would
we need various sauces. So we have somebody who is in Kansas City. We have somebody that's back east. So send us, or we can talk about getting different types of barbecue sauce. So like a Texas barbecue, Kansas City barbecue, a Nashville type of barbecue.
That would be fun. So if any of you barbecue guys have, your cabinets full of all these different sauces, hook us up. Those can be mailed.
And we will have you, and we'll have you on the show as our barbecue pit expert.
Yeah. And then we can do it and we can tell you which one you should be using so you can get rid of all the rest.
Right.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out what kind of meat we're going to use. But knowing us, it's going to be cheap Oscar Mayer hot dogs.
You'd be like, don't you dare use.
Hey, you know what? There is a recipe out there for hot dog tips, barbecue. They usually make them out of, Dan, help me out here. Something tips, burn ends. There, Chad gave me a recipe for hot dog burnt ends. And they look amazing and they're inexpensive and we could do that.
Huh.
Just, because think about it. If you take a hot dog and you cook it up however you want to cook it up. We'd have to agree on how to cook it up, whether that be, because I like them charred to the point where they look like just like they've been burnt. But then you cut it like 6 ways, so one hot dog can give you 6 tastes of sauce.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, I'm down. I'm down. If somebody can hook us up with a bunch of different sauce, that'd be a fun tasting.
That would be. That would be.
Yeah. We did, because we did hot sauces from KJ.
Mm-hmm.
That was entertaining. Yeah.
Anyway. So anyhow, folks, I hope you enjoyed this show that was completely 100%, 180 degrees from everything. And that's what you love about us. We're professionals, and there is nothing we can't talk about. In fact, I'm going to put out a challenge to our barflies. Ready for this? And Dave's like, oh God, here he goes. Give us a subject that will stump us, and we will send you a Drinks and Dave's t-shirt. In other words, something that we can't talk about, and it has to be within our parameters, but something that will stump us. Because the one thing we can do is we can talk about any subject, and any subject we don't know about, we will make the shit up, and it will sound good. So anyhow, thanks everybody for joining us on our new old night, Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific. And I must say that sooner or later, and it looks like Congress is going to vote on this, that everybody will join us, join the Arizonans, and never having to change their clocks again. No more daylight savings.
That's the one thing so far I can be down with. It's one step closer to everybody being just on GMT.
Well, I think the problem, and see, that would be easier if everybody was on GMT. But the problem is Arizona, after all the years that you guys have complained about Arizona, we're the ones that they're going to make us change the clock. You watch. They're going to say, okay, Arizona, you get to go forward an hour or backward an hour. But that's okay. I don't care.
You're tough. You can handle it.
That's right. We can do that. So anyhow, we'd like to say thank you to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to tell your friends, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, and we will get back to you as soon as I can. Say goodnight, Dave.
Good night, Dave.
Have a good night, everybody.